right, hit and go, hit and go. Oh.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning. Here we are. Guatemala.
Salud.
Salud.
Tennessee.
Guadasee. You Guadasee it.
Yeah.
No.
Oh my goodness.
Gotta get my brain going this morning.
Yes, no
Creativity.
kidding. Oh my. Oh, hi.
Hello.
It is
We're on time.
Wednesday.
It is Wednesday. Middle of the week. Hey, someone joined us
We
here.
are just...
See who they are in a
yes,
moment,
let's see.
maybe.
Hello. Where we're just juggling schedules and whatnot this morning. And
Man.
so that's where we're kind of landing hot from right this second.
Yeah. Being flexible. Let go of my leg. No. So anyway, so we're gonna get going here just as we give maybe another minute. So you're just coordinating work at my mom's house and how to serve folks, and
There goes one child.
and there's one child, breakfast making child is figuring out breakfast making, and
We're gonna
got
have
things
papaya
to
this
go.
morning.
Papaya, la cucaracha, banana. So only parents who watch lots of children's movies
will
will
get that.
understand that reference. Maybe. Hey, if you know what that reference was, put it down there in the description. Come on, play my game. I'll mess with you. All that fun stuff. Papaya. So anyway. So let's talk about this, because this came to me this morning as I was up and thinking and getting ready. Because we want to make sure as we're talking about this, because again, Brother Hagin taught us years ago, there's two things that just will make people upset. When you talk about their money and you talk about their family. Those two things seem to rub all of our cats backwards, you know. When you talk about people's money and what they should or shouldn't do with it, and when you talk about their family and maybe what they should or shouldn't do in it, then it can upset us, right? And so I was thinking about this morning. We want to make sure this is inspiring and encouraging, and moving all of us. So as you notice in the descriptor, it's about getting started, like just beginning. And what I mean by that is because, you know, one of the last comments we had some weeks ago from someone was, oh, well, it must be nice. You and Selena started out this way. We didn't. Right. So it must be easy when you have started out this way. And here's the real truth. None of us, everybody say none of us, none of us start out doing things God's way. None of us. That I can think of, there's not a person. Again, I'm talking about born again, spirit filled, believing. None of us start out just doing God's thoughts, God's plans, God's way. None of us do.
No.
And here's the great thing: we're not supposed to. He doesn't require it of us. He doesn't have an expectation of, well, you should have started this way.
Seriously, where have you been?
Yeah. None of that happens, right? That just hit me this morning.
It's a journey, and I'm sure you've heard that. It's a journey. So you just start, you know, of course, when you first start, we got married.
We
got married. Okay, great. And then you go through that and go, oh, wait, roadblock. Oh, wait, What is this? Oh, wait. And that's with those situations that arise is when you start asking questions and when you start actually going, well, is there a better way?
Yeah. Well,
you know? And so as you start doing that, that's when you go, okay, well, whose way is better? So see the logic here?
Yeah.
Whose way is better? Because first it was his way, then it was my way, then it was not working, and then it was like,
God's way?
What is a better way?
Yeah.
Oh wait, it's God's way.
Yeah.
What is that?
Absolutely.
What is God's way? So that's kind of the process
for all of us.
For all of us in every area.
Every area.
Every area.
Well, you know, I was just thinking about this just when you were talking there, and
I can tell you were thinking because you kept trying.
I was trying. But I was kind.
You were kind.
So I'm doing it a better way.
Yes.
I was. And
but
so
God's way.
It was, because I was not interrupting. Because God is not rude.
That's right.
He does not interrupt.
I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful.
So anyway, but I was thinking about, you know, Brother Andrew Womack. I got this analogy from him, and I forgot one of his teachings, books, whatever. But I thought it was such a a great actual analogy to help us understand this is, and he used the analogy of when we sent the Apollo missions to the moon, right? When we sent people to the moon, he said, they didn't go in a perfect
The
straight.
way you see in the cartoons, right? Launch,
land. He
That's
said they
not
were
how it happened.
they were constantly checking in with Houston, and Houston would tell them, and they had those little thrusters on the cap. Again, I'm not a space. Maybe my daughter Savannah there knows better because she's our spacey person. But they had these little thrusters on the capsule that were directional, and so they would check in, and Houston, who was tracking them, would say, "Oh, you need to do a left burn for so many seconds." And so they would go, "Okay, roger that, Houston," and they would go, and they would stop. And then it would go for, and they say, "Oh, now you need to do a right burn for a minute and a half." And so they were constantly, so their path to the moon probably looked more like this.
Yes, constant recalibration.
As they were constantly checking in with Houston and recalibrating. And I just want to make sure that we understand that as we talk about this, that we're all, no matter where we are in our
what
journey.
Your personality type is.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I want to know what to do so I can run. And the constant recalibration has sometimes irked me. No passion there.
No.
Did that come out loud?
That was very nice and calm.
Well, good. I'm so glad. No, I'm serious. So we need to. Hey, Steve. How you doing, man?
Steve-O.
So it's that constant recalibration of, okay, well, this isn't working. Okay, hold on, Lord.
Yeah.
Checking in with Houston, right? Lord.
Yep.
What's going on here? How can we better do this? Because I'm not liking it. And too many of us have felt I'm a failure because this isn't working.
Yeah.
Rather than, I'm not liking this. I
recalibrate.
need to recalibrate. Let me check in with Houston.
Yeah. Exactly. And to me, that little analogy again of, we're walking towards the destination. Again, just like that those moon missions, we're constantly checking in with Father, who is Houston.
Yeah.
We check in with him through the Bible, through his word. We check in with him through the indwelling of the Spirit, who is leading and guiding us. And as Jesus said in John 14, 15, and 16, the Spirit will lead us into truth. He will guide us into all truth. He will show us things to come. He will teach you and remind you of the things that Jesus said. So the whole indwelling person of the Spirit is for that recalibration. So that as we're journeying, and we're just journeying, God will say, "Hey, let's nudge you back over here. Hey, let's nudge you back over here."
Right.
And he's just constantly, the real key for us is, will I blast off? That's what, to me, is that's what actually limits people, is they look at their situation and say something. And again, I'm divorced. Or, I didn't start out that way. Or, I
We're
made a
already
mistake.
too deep into this.
Yeah,
So...
I made whatever mistake I might have made.
Yeah.
Or thought I had made.
Yeah.
And so therefore, it's too late.
Yeah.
I didn't start out, quote unquote, well. I didn't begin in God's way. I began in my way, or I did something different, or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, and so this is what it is. And so we never actually make the decision to, okay, God, I am going to begin. I'm going to start in your following you.
Are you willing? That's the biggest thing, the biggest question, right?
Well, and here's the thing, this has been an analogy that's been coming to me since we've really been doing these lives with you guys, that has been there, is you just might be Abraham in your family, right? You just might. So again, we all are familiar maybe with the Old Testament person of Abraham. He's the father of faith. He was the founder of what became Israel, or the Jewish nation.
Right.
He was the one God chose to start his people in the earth, that we could later then have Jesus come from that, all of that.
Right.
But when we look at Abraham, Abraham, again, how do you say this? Abraham came from a pagan place.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he came from, what was that? He was from Ur of the Chaldees,
Yep.
which again, they were star worshipers. They were
Right.
moon worshipers. They had their ziggurats, those flat-topped pyramids where they would look at the stars and do this kind of stuff. And so Abraham did not begin in the things of God.
No.
Abraham did not begin as a necessarily, if you will, a
righteous man.
a righteous man, a quote unquote believer.
Yeah.
You know, Abraham was a star worshiper. He was a pagan.
Yeah.
There was no such thing as Jewish people, so he couldn't have even
right.
been Jewish, right? I mean, you know, and so but what happened was God came to Abraham, and I love this. It says, this is the reason in Genesis, I think somewhere around chapter 26, if I'm remembering right, God says, this is why I picked Abraham. Because we might
Yes,
say, well, then why did God pick Abraham?
Right.
He says, God said, I picked Abraham because I knew that what I was going to do with Abraham, my relationship with Abraham, he would teach his children after him. Now, this is it. This Abraham didn't have any kids yet because Sarah was barren.
Yeah.
So there were no children. This wasn't because he was a good dad, and so God picked him as a good dad.
No.
He was still a married man with no children, but God said, oh, this guy right here, when I get into relationship with him, the kids he's gonna have, he'll teach them. He'll
Yes.
show them. He'll tell them who I am. And that's why God picked Abraham.
And that's how God operates.
That's how God operates. That's exactly right. Well, then, so God comes down and just begins. And I love even God. He does, you know, he shows up with Abraham and says, Abraham, hey, will you do this? Hey, can we have a relationship? Journey with me over to this other place. Just you. Right? And then I love that, you know, because even in that, because God's heart was, I have to get Abraham away from
Everything he
everything he had known before, so that I can start something new in him. And so God says, hey, Abraham, come away with me so I can begin something new in you, and you can be the first one. You can be the beginner of a whole new nation of people. And then Abraham says, cool, God. And he takes his daddy with him,
Yeah.
and he takes his nephew, and he packs up some people. And so Abraham didn't even begin
Nope.
in God's plan. You know, he said, okay, God, great. I'll take mama and daddy and my nephew Lot, and here we go. And God's like, well, okay, we started. Awesome.
we started.
I can work with that.
Let's keep moving.
And so it says they journey for a while, then Abraham's daddy dies,
Yep.
this kind of stuff, and they continue on, just him and Lot, and God says, okay. still not what I wanted, still not what I was looking for, still not what I was planning,
Yeah.
but here we go.
Yeah.
We're going to just move forward anyway. And then finally they come to the place where Abraham and Lot parted company.
Yeah.
Because they had grown. And I love that. And even in the middle of this not complete obedience,
Yes.
God was blessing them.
So
God
cool.
was prospering them.
So
God was
cool.
increasing them. And they came to a place where the land couldn't sustain Abraham's household and Lot's household. So Abraham does that famous part of the story where him and Lot get together. And he says, hey, listen, Lot, I need you to look.
Where do you want to go?
If you go left, I'll go right.
No worries.
If you go north, I'll go south. Just you pick a direction. I'm going to go in the opposite direction. So Lot, being the great selfless person that he was, says, well, I'm going to go towards Sodom and Gomorrah because it's the better land. It's all the green pasture is. And Abraham turned around, and the opposite direction for him was the desert.
Yep.
Right?
He's like, well,
okay. All right, you go that way, I'll go this way. And you notice that when they had parted company and Abraham finally got to where God originally said, that's when God began to say, okay, now Abraham, now that you're here, I need you to look at the sand. I need you to look at the stars.
Yes.
This is what I've always wanted to do with you. This is what I always intended for you. But I love that whole journey, that even when we look at the father of faith, his journey was never perfect.
That way.
And he never remained that way.
Right? Exactly.
Right? There's the whole, Ishmael incident with Hagar. There's the whole 2 times he sells his wife up the river to foreign people because he's a coward. I mean, you look at the life of this man and go, it was anything but nice and clean and perfect.
Not
and
at all.
there was I like to say it like this, there was a whole lot of dis in Abraham's function.
Yeah, buddy.
There was a whole lot of stuff going on.
But God still
But God was like, but
was in
he's
friendship with him, in covenant with him. I mean,
because he knew that he would at least teach, even if imperfectly, he would teach his children the things that he was going to show him, and that Abraham would be a man that would
That's
pass it
amazing.
on. And so I just want to say that just this morning, we'll land the plane here, is when we talk about this stuff, when we talk about, again, the tape measure of God's standard for family, when we talk about the imagery that God has painted for us and said, hey, this is what I want for you, and we look at our lives and go, well, I'm not even close, or I've made so many mistakes, or I'm definitely, again, I wasn't a virgin when Selena and I got married. I had made all of my own mistakes. I had caused all kinds of heartache to all kinds of people. I had done things that were not at all biblical, nor holy, nor whatever. I mean, even we were talking about it last night. I had a porn issue. Not that I was a porn addict, but I mean, like so many men, I had let porn come in.
I had no idea.
And Sophia asked us last night, well, Mom, what did you do because Dad had this porn thing? And she's like, I was naive.
I was naive.
And I had no idea he was
struggling with that.
And so none of us,
And
but
yet God set him free, and I was like, oh, cool. Okay. I'm moving right along.
well, and I think to sit there and say our failings, whatever they may be, are not limiting factors for God.
Right.
Just because I did not do it God's way, I did not start in the way God would have wanted me or even intended for any of us to start,
exactly.
doesn't mean that we're disqualified, right? So, yeah. So I just wanted to throw that in there as we keep talking about this.
I think the thing is, God is inviting us on a journey.
Absolutely.
To journey with Him, just like Abraham.
And come up to His way.
To come up to His ways and
That's
His
right.
thoughts. And that doesn't mean overnight. That just means, are you willing?
That will be a lifelong journey for us all.
For all of us.
Right.
Yes.
In all the areas of life, not just this area that we're talking about of family.
Every area.
But every area is that way. God is inviting us to come up to His way in every area. And here's again something we don't teach much anymore in church, but it's the doctrine of the sufficiency of Scripture, the doctrine of the sufficiency of the Bible. And what that doctrine teaches us is that God has spoken either in a clear command or an overarching wisdom principle. He has spoken to every area of life in the Word.
Yes, He has.
He has given us instruction for everything that we will need in this life that we live. And then the invitation is will you trust me and believe me that I've got the best? When I ask you to do something, if I lay out a quote unquote standard in front of you and ask you to think that way and to begin to walk that way, that it's for your good, that it's for your benefit. I'm not doing it in condemnation. Like we said the other day, nobody's mad at the tape measure.
No.
I'm not doing it to judge you or to condemn you. I've given you a tool so that you can walk through life and know, oh yeah, we're on track. Okay, yeah, we got to adjust here. We got to adjust there. Again, we got to hit the afterburner or move us in God's way.
Yep.
That it's for our good, right? It's not because He's saying, you can't do it, none of that, right?
No, it's an invitation.
It's an invitation.
Yeah.
So give that something, and let's just begin wherever we are.
Yes.
And again, here's the great, and let's begin again today, even if you're watching this and you say, well, Brad, I've been doing this for years. Okay, awesome. Every day, I love that His mercies
are new
every morning, right? Which mercy is both, okay, He's covering and taking care of any mistakes I made yesterday. But mercy is also that idea of grace, which is an empowering word So not only has his mercy and grace covered any mistakes I made yesterday, his mercy and his grace empowers me into today to do this, what we've been talking. And so I love that, right? It's this, so his mercy. So every day we get to start. Every day we get to get up one more time. And like we try to do every day, at least in my mind, if not verbally, I tell myself about Selena. Today I choose you again. You are my wife today. Amen.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, we'll let you go here. Have a great Wednesday, and we will see you guys tomorrow morning. Love y'all.